Draft week is here, which means coverage like nowhere else on YouTube for the Tennessee Titans starts today. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button because I promise you, every single day this week, you're going to have Titans videos analyzing and talking about the 2024 NFL Draft. And once it's here on Thursday, the content just heats up. We got a good video for you here today on Titans Today. We will see you in it. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'm Jace Andrews, and man, oh man, it's finally here. And what seemed like eternity of the end of the season to now draft week, we finally made it. And with that comes a lot of choices for Rand Carthen and the Tennessee Titans front office because, well, this team was in a little bit of an interesting place at the end of the season. Obviously, some great free agency moves. Now you got to finish it off with a really solid draft. Here's what they need. Offensive line, especially offensive line. Wide receiver, defensive line, and a linebacker. Now, the bottom one, maybe defensive line still there, but offensive line and wide receiver are my top two. Speaking of all this and the needs, PFF had a really interesting mock draft that I want to go through because it's something that I don't really think I've seen in terms of the way this draft has gone. So let's kind of talk about it. First pick, pretty obvious. Joe Alt, round 1, pick 7. I mean, Alt is just the obvious pick. It's not interesting there. I know that. Almost every single mock draft I've seen for the Tennessee Titans has had Joe Alt. However, you have to kind of go on from that. And I think that's where the drafts and everything start to differentiate. And that's why PFF is a little interesting. Because they go on and get an edge rusher in Adisa Isaac, the edge rusher from Penn State University. Now, this has been somebody we've seen before. We've talked about him on the show, and he's been a popular pick for a couple of mock drafts at number 38. He is somebody that I think could come in and play day one, and this defensive line is something that I just don't know if I trust. I like Simmons. Obviously, that's the obvious thing. Besides that, Sebastian Joseph Day played some games last year with the Chargers, ended up with the Niners, and Keandre Coburn, who's a practice squad guy. I can't say I'm fully confident with it. And obviously, given Adisa Isaac is a popular pick, obviously insiders and other media members alike are similar to me. He was really good. You got to compare him to kind of like Chop Robinson, played together. I think Adisa kind of got the short end of the stick just because he was with Chop. But 36 pressures in 2022 is outstanding. Going to 33 in 2023, but adding 3.5 sacks, that's also great with 16 tackles for loss. He improved every single year, and I think he is the perfect addition to this defensive line because you're looking for speed. You're looking for somebody who can really push the agenda, and I think Adisa can do that considering most of your line is a little bit bigger. So yeah, I like the pick here. I think this is one that I would really see being a positive impact, and honestly one that I could see happening. I know that is kind of hard to think about, but at this point, we've been talking about the draft for months on end, and it's now 4 days away, less than 4 days away. You kind of start to realize, all right, I think the draft choices are narrowed down a little bit in some cases. Like, it's very obvious the Titans are doing one of three things in round 1, pick 7. And so I think you can start to go on from there. Would you like the Titans to select Adisa Isaac? Let me know if you would by typing Y for yes, or if you would not by typing in for no. Let me know what you would do in the comments section. Y for yes if you like him, in for no. Michael Hall Jr., defensive lineman, Ohio State University at round 4, pick 106. Here's where we get interesting. You would take 3 linemen in the first 3 picks you have. Mind you, by not having a third round pick, that's rounds 1 through 4 for you. And it's all offensive or defensive linemen. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's just intriguing because we know the Titans offensively are looking for a big jump. Adding Calvin Ridley was great. Adding Tony Pollard was great. But I feel like the wide receivers, they're kind of an interesting spot. I would have gotten one around 4. Michael Hall's not a bad pick. I'm not trying to say that at all. I think he's actually a really solid pick. It's just because of the way the previous picks have gone, I'm a little bit questionable of it. 2 tackles for loss this past year, 1.5 sacks and 29 pressures aren't exactly the most amazing stats, but they're not bad by any stretch of the imagination. And again, he's kind of that middle ground. He's big, but he's also got some speed on him. So I would kind of compare him to a mixture of Jeffrey Simmons and Adisa Isaac. Could he work? 1,000%. Is it something that I would see happening drafting a offensive lineman, an edge rusher, and then a defensive lineman? I don't know if I'd go that far, especially considering the talk that I've heard from Sebastian Joseph Day. It sounds like they're just looking for one more defensive lineman, and probably in that case, an edge rusher. I know that they can kind of slide over anybody into a defensive tackle formation, and I don't know what we're going to see. If we're going to see a 3-down lineman, 4 linebacker set again. That's what I think was going to happen, but maybe we see something where it goes to 4-down lineman. There's a lot of questions up in the air. You know what you shouldn't have to question, though? Buying your tickets to the big events. Obviously, GameTime is your place to go for that, as they've got tickets to sports, music, comedy, and theater events in your area. Playoffs are here for the NHL, for the NBA. And if you don't know, you know now. The Preds are in the playoffs. They've got a home game coming up against the Canucks here in just a couple of days. Get your tickets now at GameTime. $20 off your first purchase by using code CHATSPORTS. It's super easy to get your tickets right now for Game 3. They're less than $100. Pretty good. Plus, you can obviously see your seat. Pictures of the seat you'll get before you buy it. They're going to have flash deals, zone deals, last-minute tickets. All you could want and more is in the GameTime app. And I'm telling you, go watch the Preds. They're a fun team, and you're not going to regret it. They got last-minute tickets, like I said. There's flash deals, zone deals, and it's easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area. Not just sports. They've got music. They've got comedy. They've got theater. Anything you want, GameTime has you covered. Plus, the cool thing about it, and the thing that I like the most, they have deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find last-minute seats. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download GameTime today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Round 5, pick 146. Here we go. Wide receiver Isaiah Williams. Finally, you're getting a wide receiver here in round 5. I don't know that I like Isaiah Williams, but it's a wide receiver. I'm kind of curious to see what PFF thought about this, so they had a whole kind of mentioning of him. Here's what it was. Quote, Williams' scouting report starts with his devastating quickness. He is explosive and controlled in his movements, especially in his releases off the line of scrimmage. He can also change up his release speed to put cornerbacks in tough spots. His explosiveness allows him to create separation without contact and even through contact. He has great body control to make tough adjustments for catches. Williams' lack of size affects both his blocking and tackle breaking potential, and his shorter arms and smaller hands limit his catch radius, end quote. A lot of positives in there, I guess. I mean, I know that there is something to be said about the size of a receiver and wanting to have a big body. This is why I would have gone a wide receiver in round 4, just because you could have gotten somebody like a Jacob Cowling from Arizona, who I think is a very underrated wide receiver. I'm not talking bad about Isaiah Williams. That's not what I'm trying to do here. I just don't think for the timing of this and the way the draft had gone up until this point that this was the right pick in this moment. I would have gone wide receiver round 4, and then gone to the defensive lineman in round number 5. I mean, not bad stats. Over 1,000 yards. He's improved every single year. 5 touchdowns in back-to-back years. But I just don't really see him being the number 3 wide receiver when you consider he was also a quarterback 4 years ago. And while that some way is nice, you don't need him as a quarterback. It's not what you're trying to draft. You're trying to draft a wide receiver. And this is the one instance where I think adjustability is not going to be a positive for him. Let's continue on here to round 6, pick number 182, with the offensive tackle from Marshall, Ethan Driskell. Now, what's interesting about this, PFF did this mock draft, right? Well, PFF graded this pick a D. What? What are we doing here? What are we doing here? I actually kind of like this pick. I'm not going to lie. 6'9", 329 for an offensive tackle in round 6. I'll take that every day of the week. I don't mind that at all. It's just weird to me because you talk about PFF. They always talk about how their grading system is so important and that you got to make sure that you look at that. And then they give themselves a D on a pick. I mean, I know it's obviously auto-generated and they have writers that then do all this stuff, but man, oh man, is that just an interesting thing to look at. So I don't mind it. I think he's pretty good size-wise, and for a round 6 pick, being still on the practice squad, if you ever need to bring him up, probably could get the job done. Get a round 7. You get another wide receiver here in Lideatrick Griffin from Mississippi State at 242. This is where I want to go to the wide receiver depth chart and just kind of sit here and talk for a second because I continue to push. Wide receiver is not done yet. You're not. DeAndre Hopkins is great. You got him this year. That's last year of the Geo. Calvin Ridley's great for the next 4 years. That's great. I don't think they trust Treylon Burks in the way they've spoken, in the way they've talked, in the way that they have not brought up his name. He does not seem like a guy who is going to be an actual effect, have an effect on the team in 2024. Nick Westbrook-Ikhine has his pros. Kyle Phillips has his pros. But I still do feel like wide receiver is an important position. And waiting till round 5, it's not it. It's not it. I get you get another wide receiver in round 7, but at this point, you're not picking a guy who is going to be anywhere near the 53-man roster, in my opinion. But hey, who knows? Rand Carthen's obviously smarter than me, and maybe he does that, and I'm proved totally wrong. We'll see. Kendall Milton, the running back from Georgia, is the round 7, 252 pick. Not much to say here. He's a practice squad guy. That's what it is. Both those round 7 guys are probably practice squad. I kind of don't mind this one just because your running back room is somewhat set. Tony P, Tajay Spears are going to be 1-2 punch. Hassan Haskins will be in there should you need him. Chestnut is somebody to re-sign, so he knows the lay of the land, can play scout team. If you get a running back with Kendall Milton, there's a chance he turns into something. I mean, you look around the league, there's been success with late-round running backs. Running backs is the position that I would honestly take late, especially in this draft. And Milton played well at UGA, has a chance to potentially come up. I mean, Isaiah Pacheco was a round 7 pick as well, and look where he's doing with the Chiefs. So, a bunch of different things with that. Grade this draft. A, B, C, D, or F. What are we thinking here? Alt, Adisa Isaac, Michael Hall Jr., Isaiah Williams, Ethan Driscoll, Lideatrick Griffin, and then Kendall Milton. What are we feeling? Also, you see there that D on Ethan Driscoll. I don't know what he's talking about. A is great, F is failing, C is average, B and D are the in-between. Grade this mock draft. Luckily, we won't have to talk mocks for much longer. I don't know, well, lucky or not, I don't know. I like doing mock drafts, but I'm kind of getting to the point where I'm ready for the real thing, and we get that in 3 days, and I'm super excited about it. So make sure you're sticking around, hit that subscribe button, because we will have a ton of coverage all week long. You're not going to miss it. We do appreciate hanging out with us. And for now, Titans fans, peace out.